Hello, coaches. Today, I want to take you through an NLP practitioner process known as the Swish pattern. Now, the Swish pattern is for minor states, behaviors that are linked to a trigger, or a behavior that's linked to creating that habit. The Swish pattern is quite spectacular in the way that it works and how fast that it works. I mean, that's we do NLP, right? But there is a lot of noise on YouTube about how to do the Swish pattern properly. I was taught by two different companies when I did my trainers training. I've gone down the Australian line of NLP and I've also gone down the American line of NLP. So I have immersed myself in two different versions of NLP. And while the American and the Australian company teach the same syllabus, the way that they value the content and the way that they deliver their content is quite different. So here with this swish pattern, what I'm going to do for you is to blend in and merge both of the best from both companies so that you can come away with the swish pattern that works for you. As I always say, let's get started. Before we dive into the swish pattern and the steps on how to facilitate it, I just want to take a moment and I just invite you to float up above now. And unlike timeline where we go into the past, today I want you to float up and move along your time stream into the future. I want you to take yourself to a future version of you that is living the life that you want to live. I want you to notice how you're living, how you're taking care of yourself, how you spend your time, having things the way that you want them, feeling the way that you want to feel, and just getting the best out of life, right? When you think about that successful version of you in the future, really take notice about what you are doing, how you hold your head held high, shoulders back, who you're spending your time with, the types of conversations that you're having, the way that the money is coming in easily. Thinking about that future version of you and the way that you look after yourself, I want you to notice what old habits, the habits of now, have you let go of that the future version of you doesn't do anymore? It's quite fascinating to think about. Is that successful future of you doing any of these habits? Are they biting their nails? Are they overeating a certain food? Are they habitually smoking or vaping? Are they playing the pokies? Getting in touch with that future version of you, the successful version of you, you'll notice that there isn't any of those limitations there that are like that habits of trying to soothe yourself through a limiting behavior. Getting into alignment with that future version of you will require you in this now moment to be able to let go of the limitations that might be working for you, but certainly don't work for you when you're in that successful you. So, this is where I bring the swish pattern to your attention. It's a technique to create momentum towards that compelling behavior or outcome that you want. The swish pattern is not about going to the past like we do with timeline to go back to the root cause or to clear any limiting decision or limiting emotion. The swish pattern is creating that forward momentum, that strategy for success, so that you can manifest in the version of you that you want to be. The swish pattern is for is for limiting behavior and minor states that are linked to a trigger or a spark of intense negative emotion. So if you think back to, I don't know, let's just use biting the nails for now. If you think back to a time when you were biting your nails, there must have been some trigger. We think about strategy elicitation. There must have been some level of trigger that happened for you that resulted in the biting of the nails. So something's happened here where the nervous system has become deregulated and it's like finding ways to self-soothe. So in this scenario, like a little child, it's like going back to biting nails. And it can be other limiting behaviors, but this is what I want to bring your attention to. There's a trigger. Now you're looking to self-soothe, and the way that you're self-soothing is not ideal. So the swish pattern will work on things like biting your nails, mindlessly scrolling on your phone, binge watching TV, overeating, that habitual smoking or vaping, overspending, and even speeding. If there's that trigger where you're feeling a little bit powerless, people tend to get behind the wheel and want the music up loud and just to release all of that, release that pent-up energy. There's a need to self-soothe. It may not be ideal, but it's the things that we do to bring ourselves back into a sense of a more helpful state. So these are all the unwanted behaviors. As I said, they're absolutely perfect for the swish. So if a client comes to you for coaching because their life is unorganized and their house is always a mess, their desk is a mess, I want you to notice that if this is what they're coming to you for, then the swish pattern isn't actually the ideal process because they haven't spoken about a behavior or outlined a behavior that you can actually use the swish for. So you when you think about working with clients and about to use the swish, you need to check in like, how do you feel my house is a mess? There isn't a behavior here. The house is messy. You've messed the house, but you need to make sure that the client is working on the correct thing when it comes to the swish. So the swish will work for making a mess. That can be the unwanted behavior, the making of the mess, but not being organized or not clearing, sorry, not cleaning, not behaviors. So there's nothing there that we can like observe. It's like there's a not here. So thinking about a behavior that you don't want anymore, as we've already said, biting your nails, mindlessly scrolling on your phone, binge watching TV, gorging on a certain food, that's what the swish pattern is for. Now, before I take you into the swish pattern, I just want to remind you about the language of associated compared to disassociated. So, associated is looking through your own eyes. So, it's like taking you to an event, dropping you into that moment where you were doing that event and seeing things through your own eyes. This is what associated is, compared to disassociated, where you are seeing yourself in the movie or seeing yourself in the memory, I should say. So they're completely different two perspectives, and we need to be aware of this when we're doing the swish. So step one is to choose a behavior or bad habit you don't like. As I've already said, it can be biting nails. That's probably what I'm going to use today. And you need to actually identify the trigger. So when you're working with a client, how do you know when it's time to bite your nails? And of course, you can do a little bit more of that strategy elicitation to take yourself back to a time just before you bit your nails and getting in touch with what was the trigger that caused you to bite your nails. And then you want to make sure with this connection to the trigger, when you think of the unwanted behavior, when you think of biting your nails, do you have a picture? And there's just my prompt to say, you can also do the strategy elicitation. What was the very first thing that caused you to bite your nails? Was it something you saw, something you heard, something you felt, something you said to yourself? And like a strategy elicitation, you want to make sure the trigger is identified just before the behavior. So, just to be a bit more pedantic, biting nails, the picture of them with their fingers already in the mouth is too late. We've skipped the trigger. We need to get the picture of just before they bit their nails. And that could have been, they said something to themselves like, oh my gosh, I have to get ready for that meeting. And there's just this sort of picture of, in my mind anyway, that picture of like, ah, the to-do list, the panic. We need to get a picture of the trigger. So again, when you think of the biting of your nails, do you have a picture? Can you do it now? And this is a bit strategic on the coach's behalf because we're getting the client to associate more and more into the trigger. Step into that picture of the unwanted behavior, step into the picture of that biting your nails, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and notice what you said to yourself. And in that moment, create an image big, bright image of you just about to bite your nails, is what I should have said. That picture just before you bite your nails. Dialing it up, noticing there's the recognition of the to-do list or the reason to be stressed, getting a picture of that, getting that picture, dialing it up, and then putting it to the side. So clear screen. Okay, what's your postcode backwards? What's your phone number backwards? What's for dinner? Clear the screen. Now, instead of biting your nails, what do you want instead? So when you think of that preferred state or behavior, what does the image of you look like? Now, for the swish to work, the ideal you needs to be in a general setting. So when you think of not biting your nails anymore, what are you doing instead? And it's a little bit like that future pace that I started off with. Getting in touch with that picture, and that really represents that desired state. And dialing up the submodalities, dialing up the brightness, dialing up the picture of you living the ideal life. This particular process, you want to make sure that it's the ideal general you. We don't want to do the opposite of biting nails, because if you were looking at somebody who was overeating, you're like, well, what's the opposite? Oh, well, the opposite's me going to the gym. Well, at 3 in the morning, if you're triggered, is it actually ideal for you to be now compelled to go to the gym? It's not quite the right fit. Like, you need to make sure that this particular process has a supporting desired state and outcome. So when you've got that ideal version of you, step into the picture so you can, sorry, step out of the picture, I should say. We're now disassociating. Step out of the picture so you can see yourself in the picture, that ideal you. Clear the screen. So keeping in mind now we have two images. We have the image of the version of them associated and triggered, and we've also got the picture disassociated and the desired outcome. So we've got two separate images. Now we're going to bring back the image of the old trigger, the thing that we want to get rid of, and make sure that when they bring that picture up that they're looking through their own eyes. So we've like stepped into the trigger, we're looking through our own eyes, and that picture around us is big and bright and huge. And I know you must be saying to yourself, like, that's nuts. Why would we be making a bigger picture of the negative state? I'm getting there. But you actually do want to do that. You want to associate and you want to really dial up the negative trigger. Here comes the relief. So now with that big picture and keeping that old picture on the screen in your mind, I want you to place a small version of the desired state in the lower left-hand corner so you can see yourself in that ideal picture. Looking at the screen there, that's the best way that I can illustrate it. You've got the big yuck picture, and then the small ideal picture right in the bottom corner. And now that they've got that, as like, good, now we're just going to explode the big picture. Sorry, we're going to explode the good picture, exploding the good picture, the desired state, exploding it out and making that swish. And if the person can do it, if they're visual, it's sort of like make the good picture big and then shrink the little picture. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're creating that scattering of the neural pathways so that instead of the problem being big, which is what we tend to do in our minds, we're now scrambling that and making the good ideal version of you big. Yeah, so it's like swish. And then we need to clear the screen. And now this is when the momentum starts to get a little bit faster, because this is a process that is for the unconscious mind. It is not for the conscious mind. We don't need to analyze it. We just need to do it. And this is speaking the language of the unconscious mind. So you've got the present state. This is that trigger. You've got the present state, the desired state. 1, 2, 3, swish, and then clear the screen. So you want to do this quite fast, and you literally say to the client, okay, you've got the trigger or the present state, get the picture of the present state, the desired state, and swish. clear the screen. Present state, desired state, now swish, 1, 2, 3, whoosh. Now clear the screen. Present state, desired state, 1, 2, 3, swish, and clear the screen. And as the coach, you can feel absolutely ridiculous doing this. Get right into it. I know that when we teach an NLP practitioner, we've almost got a dance party going on, like 1, 2, 3, swish, 1, 2, 3, swish, 1, 2, 3, swish. It's just lots of fun. Make sure that you say clear the screen between each swish to ensure that you don't create a loop between the desired and the undesired state. So that's just a bit of a tip there. Put more power and intensity into the new picture each time and get faster and faster. If the client is like, oh, hold on, I don't understand, slow it down, you say, great, okay, but you keep on with the momentum. You want to make sure that you're doing this process quite quickly. This process, as I've said, is designed to work at the unconscious level, not the conscious level. So if the client is trying to consciously be aware of the steps, they're doing it wrong, and you need to take charge of that. So don't do this process slowly. So present state, just the trigger, the present state picture, the small desired state picture, 1, 2, 3, swish. Big picture is now the good, ideal future you. Clear the screen. Present state, desired state, 1, 2, 3, swish. Okay, now clear the screen. Repeat this process until they can't get access of the undesired state, the trigger. Then you can check in with them after about 7 or so goes. How's it going? If the ideal if the ideal state is still a little bit fuzzy, do it several more times so the old image isn't accessible. Present state, desired state, 1, 2, 3, swish, and clear the screen. Present state, desired state, 1, 2, 3, swish, and clear the screen. And it'll be a bit of a workout. So once you can calibrate and recognize in your client is like, yeah, wow, like I'm completely immersed in my future desired self, then, it's about testing and saying, so in the future, when you consider maybe the old way, what do you want to do instead? And just to be able to calibrate with that client. So as I said here, choose the behavior that they don't like biting the nails. How do you know when it's time to bite your nails? When you think of that biting your nails, do you have a picture? Can you do it now? We're associating, we're getting access to the neural pathways and how they do the problem. Associate into the unwanted behavior, like step into it, see what you saw, and what was the trigger? What was the trigger for the unwanted behavior? Get a picture of that and make the picture big, bright, putting it aside. Clear the screen, decide on what you want instead, and make sure that it's that desired version of you, the successful you, something that's quite general, and just dial up the submodality so that, again, that neural network is like, I want more of this. Now get them to step out of that picture. So we've got two pictures, the unwanted or the current and the desired state. Clear the screen. Bring back the old picture of the trigger of you biting your nails, or just before you bite your nails, I should say, and then get the picture of the screen of how you actually want to be. Now let that picture of that version of you, the desired state, completely explode, blast out, and make that swish sound, get the whole auditory involved, like swish, so that we've now got that neural network going, oh, I want more of this ideal state. Clear the screen, and this is where you speed up. Present state, biting your nails, desired state, 1, 2, 3, swish, clear the screen. I start again there with the trigger picture, the desired state, 1, 2, 3, swish, and make that really big. And then checking in, how's it going with them? Present state, desired state, 1, 2, 3, swish, and clear the screen. Test to make sure that things are feeling really, really, really good about the whole new version of them that they're stepping into. Extra little tips. When you're doing the swish pattern, if you can do this, some people can't do the perceptual projections easily. But if you have that, start off with the pattern where you are fully associated into the problem. So you're seeing through your own eyes. Then the good version of you is disassociated. So the mind will see yourself with the new pattern. And then as you move through the process, you should end up completely associated into the new pattern. So you're looking through your own eyes with that successful version of you. And the biting the nails piece there, that was the best I could illustrate the difference between associated and disassociated. When you get familiar with this process, and if you're into manifesting processes, you can use this for you can use this swish pattern for manifesting. I've used it a lot of times when I find myself, feeling like, oh, I want to sell the house or sell the car or whatever it is, and I'm like bringing my energy's coming down. Okay, great. I've got the picture of the current car, and then I get a picture of the new car, and I see myself driving the new car, and it's like swish. And just building up the neural network and the expectation that that's what I'm going to have. Same with selling the house or anything else. In fact, this is the process that I used in the past to sell out my NLP training in 2 days or any of my events in 2 days. It's like seeing the chairs in the room empty. That's my worst nightmare. Versus a full room and audience and like swish, 1, 2, 3, swish, clear the screen, 2, 3, swish, clear the screen, until it's just this like expectation. It's on the time stream. It's going to happen, that it's going to be a sold out event, and it's proven to work time and time again. So while you're learning the swish at practitioner level, grab hold of a behavior. As you get more confident with it, then you can start to play with it with your manifesting. Works with money as well, seeing yourself with the problem of being in debt and what you're saying to yourself versus the abundant you, and there's plenty of money in the account, and in fact money's coming into your account when you're asleep. It's like swish, how awesome is that? Because there's behavior, you can see yourself looking at your bank account and it's like, yeah, those numbers are mine. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, the swish. You can use it in a multitude of different ways. As a practitioner starting out, just get to know the dance and enjoy playing with this one. It's a lot of fun in the classroom when we teach this. Okay, I'm Claire Chancellor from Be Your Purpose Coaching, and I will talk to you later. Bye guys.